Now, McCurdy and Patterson have previously made it clear that they do not see eye to eye on the merits of this particular film.
I think Patterson's an idiot.
So we are... Whoa, hold. So we are going to do something a little different this time. We are going to allow each of them the courtesy of a brief, I'll just say brief, but I'm not going to draw bounds around it, opening statements to make clear both their overall ideas on the movie plus their ranking. I want you guys to lay out your argument, and then cap your argument with your list. Coin flip? You guys go to the coin flip?
I'm okay with the coin flip.
That's great.
I'm just going to arbitrarily put, just because McCurdy's on top in my Zoom, I'm going to put McCurdy as heads and Patterson as tails.
Sounds good.
And I'm going to flip this onto the floor.
All right.
That went really far away. And rolled into the next room.
Damn it.
How about we have Patterson go first because I had just spoken and I'm very curious to where he stands on this.
Patterson, you accept.
I accept this.
That quarter went really far away from me. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I would like to begin my segment with some acknowledgements and apologies. Acknowledgements, yes, I did write this as a script. I know we're generally shooting to be organic on this podcast, but this is too important to me to not get it right, and it also saves time. I also want shout out to Charlie Myers for basically doing 100% of the behind-the-scenes work for this podcast. He's a real MVP.
Oh, now he's buttering me up.
Buttering
me up.
I am shamelessly.
That's hilarious.
I said uninterrupted. I'll hold myself back.
It's fine. Apologies to Nance and Scott. You're probably going to get talked over a lot during this one, and I'm a dick for doing it, but this is going to get real.
That's all right.
To our faint-hearted listeners and family of mine that may eventually listen to this, you're about to hear some really offensive shit come out of my mouth. Sorry, not sorry. And lastly, to McCurdy, I do like and respect you, and you do have good opinions, but for the sake of entertainment, I'm about to tear you a new asshole. We've been looking forward to doing this one since we started doing this podcast, and in honor of that, I've taken the liberty of crafting a poem. That's right, a poem dedicated to McCurdy for having the opposite opinion of me on this film. I also decided to do it because I'm a classy and respectable gentleman. So without further ado, I present to you this poem entitled, Go F*** Yourself, Eat Shit, and Die. McCurdy, your butthole is dirty. Your arguments hardly hold sway. It is never a shock when George Lazenby's cock happens to be headed your way. McCurdy, your face makes me hurty, and your opinions I'll thoroughly slay. Soon enough you'll be spanked on our podcast called Ranked, and I will defeat you this day. McCurdy, your mouth looks real purty. That's what George Lazenby would say. Your semen is spilt when you see Bond in a kilt, without any need for foreplay. McCurdy, you'll be missing your shirty when I kick your ass clear to Bombay. However, I must admit, it's now time for you to eat shit. So let's get our podcast underway. Love you, McCurdy. Love you. Even if you are a Bond movie snob.
Very curious thing, snobbery.
So
hold on. Was that your opening statement? Was that it?
No. That is just, I just wanted to
start
with
that. Was just foreplay from what it sounds like.
Oh, it is.
You just wanted to write that.
I did.
You just wanted to put that. You just wanted to be poetic.
Yes, I did.
McCurdy, you best get to writing.
I'm okay. Yeah. I'm great.
I was just struck with inspiration, and that came out of my mind.
I applaud you. I think that was very lovely. I appreciate it. I rank you very high on this podcast of individuals.
I appreciate that immensely.
Just for that, because that was very nice.
Fellas, before we start each other's dicks too hard, back on point, Patterson said before that he said early on that he would largely judge these films based on how they stand up by themselves. So,
yes.
Patterson, tell us your thoughts on this one.
Okay, so what's good? I'm going to start with what's good. The setting. I really, really do like the mountain backdrop, and I think they used it well. I think they did some fun stuff with it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably my favorite location we've seen so far in the Bond films. John Barry's score is excellent. It is a very well scored movie. The action is probably the best so far in this franchise. I'll also give it that. The janitor whistling the Goldfinger theme, I love that. That is a great example of a subtle nod to previous films.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now on to the 13 sins of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Number 1, the romance between Bond and Tracy is terrible. I don't get why Bond likes her. If you're gonna f*** her, that's fine. Hit it and quit it.
Please stay alive. At least for tonight.
But he f***ing married her. I mean, during their first encounter, she was about to kill herself. She seems mentally unstable in general. She's definitely not wife material. If you have ever seen the video of the crazy hot Matrix, she's in the fun zone at best. I'd personally put her in the danger zone. Also, he obviously forgot all about her when he meets the Angels of Death. I mean, Jimmy, keep it in your pants while you're undercover, for f***'s sake. Number 2, Lazenby sucks at playing Bond. Doesn't seem comfortable with the role. Seems like he's trying to dial it in when he's relying too much on Connery's performance without being Sean Connery. Also, don't draw attention to it by breaking the fourth wall with a cringeworthy, this didn't happen to the other guy line, you dumb f***.
This never happened to the other fella.
Sound effects were bad. Even for its time, it just sounded like shit. It was much better in the previous films. The whole I'm quitting MI6 scene is dumb. Seems like a childish thing for Bond to do. Moneypenny even pulls a mom move to stop it from happening. That's a full-blown mom move, if I've ever seen one. Number 6, Blofeld doesn't recognize Bond, which is an obvious and avoidable continuity error. We'll save that one for discussion, but none of you can deny that that's a colossal oversight.
Yeah.
It's way too elaborate of a plan to brainwash the Angels of Death. Why not just plant loyal Spectre agents around the world to distribute the biological warfare shit? You're the mastermind of Spectre, after all. It should be much easier to coordinate that logistically. The whole Angels of Death concept is just an excuse to have a babe parade. Bond's plan to impersonate
Not
Bray...
that we're against that at all. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Bond's plan to impersonate Bray is stupid when he knew that Blofeld was actively corresponding with him. There's too much that can go wrong. And indeed it does go wrong, as he gives himself away due to making a mistake Bray wouldn't have made, in addition to being entirely incapable of not trying to cram his dick inside every available vagina that he encounters. They redshirted that poor Campbell harder than I've ever seen a character in any movie ever get redshirted. He stood less of a chance than a dickhead jock guy in a teen horror flick. Blofeld's motive doesn't make sense. The world isn't just going to pretend that you didn't just threaten to kill everyone on the planet, even if you do get total amnesty. He'd be ostracized, even if he succeeded, considering his career as the CEO of a global terrorist organization. And you also mean to tell me that he orchestrated all of this entire scheme just to give up on his life ability. I'm sorry, but I will never be okay with the fact that Bond is in a kilt. He does not belong in a kilt. That's just an objective fact. You can go f*** yourself if you believe otherwise. Oh, hey, remember that dude who tried to kill you? Let's have him at your wedding. And lastly, radioactive lint has to be the worst gadget in the entire franchise. I mean, seriously, how f***ing stupid is that?
Radioactive lint.
In summation, I'm going to go ahead and rank this turd-wrangling piece of shit dead last. Patterson's ranking: Goldfinger, From Russia with Love, Dr. No, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and you can bet your ass I'm going to advocate leaving it at the bottom of the list for the rest of the f***ing season.
All right, I just want to toast to Patterson. That was a fantastic rant. The 13 sins of OHMSS.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before we move to McCurdy, I have to say, all of that is true. Every last fucking sentence of that is true. There's a big but there, which
Of course.
is, you know,
I expect there to be butts.
the big butt chin in the room. McCurdy, I believe you've always liked this movie, but
Yeah.
people didn't seem to give a shit about this movie until Chris Nolan came along and claimed it as a favorite, citing it as inspiration for and fully incorporating it into the third act / third dream of Inception.
That's true.
Why should we regard this movie as higher status than any of the Connery films?
Okay, so first off, we have to make a very big distinction because Nans has said this the last podcast, and we've talked about this. You mentioned it in our arguments with Goldfinger, is the distinction between plot and story. And the thing about the Bond films in general is they're very heavy on plot, very little on story. And you guys will be like, well, wait, I thought those were the same thing. They are not. Plot generally refers to the events that happen in the story. So when we're all arguing about plot inconveniences with Thunderball, such as why does this happen if the logic of this doesn't happen? A lot of the stuff that you're talking about are like plot inconveniences, like the Blofeld thing, which I have to acknowledge is, yes, that is something that a lot of people talk about in this movie. But you also said yourself that you want to regard these movies by themselves and not in the continuity of them all, correct?
I did say that.
You did say that.
I did say
So
that.
if you're looking at it from that perspective, it doesn't really matter if Blofeld doesn't recognize if it's Bond. I'll also add just a behind the scenes thing is you have to realize that, yeah, they're starting with a new Bond. This movie is in a way, a new beginning for Bond, because of course they are you have to also think from the perspective of, regardless of you think he's not a good Connery or whatever, it's his first film regardless,
Yeah.
not just first film as James Bond, but also that this is his first James Bond film. He doesn't really get into the role. I mean, Connery doesn't really make a really good improvement till Goldfinger, I think, or really good Bond till Goldfinger. He's great in the other two movies, don't get me wrong. Let me go back to what I was talking about, story versus plot. And this movie has a lot more story going on before it, regardless of what you think, because I completely disagree with you. I think Tracy and Bond make a lot more sense than I think you think they do. And that's where I think you and I fundamentally, like, you see it like surface levels, like, no, this is stupid. And I'm like, no, there's a lot more going on in this movie than I think you realize. Like, this movie is deep. It's got better story and more plot.
More
I'm gonna
love.
be Scott for two seconds there. But when I talk about story is generally stuff about the why, the who, the theme, those deeper things that happen in a story. In the beginning of the movie, he's like, yeah, Tracy's great, but I'm more worried about finding Blofeld. And I kind of pinpointed the theme. The theme of this movie is the struggle between his job and his own life. Is he going to have a future? And that mainly is represented in Tracy. And that's, to me, where this movie excels. And it's not just there's other things that are great about this movie, like you had mentioned John Barry's score. I'd also throw in the hat, the cinematography in this movie is some of the best cinematography in most of the Bond films. But I think, like, your disregard for Bond giving up on the mission, that's the fundamental part of the story itself. And Charlie has constantly talked about how Bond does everything for the job. He's always about the mission. He's never about the pussy. But this is the first one where he is more about the pussy than just the mission at some points in the film.
Completely.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a great thing, because then it shows a struggle within Bond. He's not just a superhero like he is in many of the other films, battling out with these different supervillains. So that scene that you're referring to when he quits, to me, that is the beginning of that story. I'm kind of fed up with the people that are in charge of me are getting in the way of this mission.
I'm relieving you from Operation Bedlam, 007.
But, sir, Blofeld's something of a must with me.
Should I continuously do this? Should it, like, and that to me is like when that begins in the film. Like the great shot, one of my favorite shots in the movie is when he's taking a drink and you see the reflection of his face with the Queen looking at him. And it's almost like, F you. Like, I can't believe this. F you. I'm fucking quitting. And then even later on, that scene's called back when Bond asks M, he says, look, we have to go save Tracy. We have to go do this. We could stop Blofeld. We could blow up his compound. But then M's like, no.
This department is not concerned with your personal problems.
You see a callback to that scene. He gets on the phone, and who's in the background? It's the portrait of the Queen. It's like him saying, F you. I'm going to go do what I think is best. And the movie even ends in a way that this could be the end chapter of the Bond franchise, where he leaves MI6 to go on his new life. And I also think that this movie has themes of life versus death. Blofeld's plan is, even if you think the hypnotism thing is too outlandish, which I don't really think it is, the idea is basically, I'm going to basically make everything on Earth infertile. Like, that's worse than an atomic bomb. Like, if we're talking about stakes, which I know Charlie has said in the past, it's like, stakes doesn't matter. Stakes doesn't matter. This film is personal. It has really great personal stakes, because if he doesn't, obviously in the end of the movie, if he doesn't save Tracy, he's going to lose at that point the love of his life, because he even says it at that moment. And even earlier in the movie, Tracy even says,
but what could be better than being in love?
Mr. Bond, he's in love with you.
That may come too, someday.
because even the audience is like, does he love her? Because we've watched 5 movies before, and he usually just bangs these chicks and, runs off to the next chick. And he's like, she questions that. And he's the one who proposes to her. So then when you get to the end of the film, it's not just he has to stop Blofeld, literally the end of the world. It's not just the East versus the West this time. It is like the entire world. We could see the extinction of everything. It's also like his... Sorry, I get emotional about this movie because it's like, it's just great.
I get it.
Like, I think it's a beautiful movie.
I actually get it.
Yeah. That's
Did
to
I
me
did
why
I not
this
say
movie
that
is great.
if you were gonna cry about one
I will
Bond
cry
movie,
about this movie.
it would be this one?
So
And it's not and like and I'm not even mentioning the scene when she dies because it's like super tragic. Okay, I can't continue anymore. Sorry.
first of all, I'm
Scott
going to go
and
ahead and
Hans, you
say
gotta-
that I'm glad that you followed up my poem about you sucking George Lazenby's dick. and
Hey, I thank you. I thank you for your humor.
all these horrible
I thank you
things.
for your humor. I
Patterson,
thank
you made him
for your
cry, you
humor.
monster.
Episode's over.
Oh,
McCurdy
man.
wins. He cried.
Yeah.
We can't argue
yeah.
with that.